Well, hello, beautiful people. How we doing today? We are back at it. We are on chapter 5 of Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. This is going to be part 2. And they were just a little bit of a recap. The devil was talking about flattery and how that is a key to using to get men and women drifting. So, just the idea of knowing that that could be used in a mischievous way, and I could totally see how that was possible, and still is possible today. So, just again, raising that level of awareness is so important. But then also, when he started talking about ballots and bullets and things like that, and thinking about what's going on in the political world. Again, I'm very independent when it comes to politics, so don't want to pick a side or anything like that. But because I think the whole system is corrupted, to be honest, and I think the middle ground or the happy ground is the independence. But the system is rigged for us to pick a side, and separation is how people get controlled. So it's why I choose not to choose a side, right? Because no one's going to be completely satisfied with one side, and no one's going to be completely satisfied on the other side, right? The happy medium and where the change is going to occur and where most people are going to agree is in the middle. So the system is just set up to fail. But that's my take on that part, not to get too far into that. So but these again are all the devil's works, and us being here listening to this, really educating ourselves and raising our level of awareness, we're rising above all that. So let's go ahead and continue on and continue to hear all of this great stuff. And I hope you guys are taking a lot of notes, because I sure am. All right, let's get this set up here. And let's see. Give me 1 second. I just skipped over. Okay, there it is. And here we go.
I have often wondered who invented the clever trick which you call propaganda. From what you tell me of its source and nature, I understand why it is so deadly. Only one as clever as your majesty could have invented such a device with which to dull the reason, dethrone the will, and lure men into drifting. Why do you not use your powerful propaganda to gain control of your victims, instead of subduing them through fear and annihilating them through warfare?
What is fear of the devil except propaganda? You have not observed my technique very carefully, or you would have seen that I am the world's greatest propagandist. I never attain an end by direct, open means, which I can achieve through subterfuge and subtlety. What do you suppose I am using when I plant negative ideas in the minds of men, and gain control of them through what they believe to be their own ideas? What would you call that, except the cleverest of all forms of propaganda?
Surely you are not going to tell me that you destroy people through their own help without their realizing what you are doing.
That is exactly what I wish you to understand. Moreover, I will show you exactly how the trick is performed.
Now we are getting somewhere. Exactly how do you convert human beings into propagandists and lure them into self-imprisonment? Give me the story with all its lurid details. This is the most important part of your confession, and I'm consumed with eagerness to gain control of your secret. I can hardly blame you for stalling about answering my question, because you know so well that your answer will snatch millions of innocent victims from your control. You also know that your answer will protect other countless millions of yet unborn people from being victimized by you. It is little wonder you are hedging about answering.
Your deductions are correct. This part of my confession will do me more damage than all the remainder of it.
Stating your headache in a better way, this part of your confession will save more millions of people from your control than all the remainder of it.
All I can say is that you have me in a hell of a situation.
Now you shall know how the millions of your victims feel. Let's have it.
I make my first entry into an individual's mind by bribing him.
What do you use as a bribe?
I use many things, all of them pleasant things the individual covets. I use the same sort of bribes that individuals use when they bribe one another. That is, I use for bribes the things people most want. My best bribes are these: love, the thirst for sex expression, covetousness for money, the obsessive desire to gain something for nothing, gambling, vanity in women, egotism in men, desire to be the master of others, desire for intoxicants and narcotics, desire for self-expression through words and deeds, desire to imitate others, desire for the perpetuation of life after death, desire to be a hero or heroine, desire for physical food.
In today's environment, clearly both women and men can fall victim to both vanity and egotism.
Yep.
Can you think of some examples?
That is an imposing list of bribes, Your Majesty. Do you use others?
Yes, plenty of them, but these are my favorites. Through some combination of them, I can enter the mind of any human being at will at any age from birth until death.
You mean that these bribes are the keys with which you can silently unlock the door to any mind you choose?
That is exactly what I mean, and I can do it too.
What happens when you enter the mind of a person who is not yet in the habit of drifting, but belongs in the 98% class as a potential drifter?
I go to work immediately to occupy as much of that person's mind as I can master. If the individual's greatest weakness is the desire for money, I begin to dangle coins before him, figuratively speaking. I intensify his desire and induce him to go after money. Then when he gets near it, I snatch it away from him.
Wow.
This is an old trick of mine. After the trick has been repeated a few times, the poor fellow gives in and quits. Then I take over a little more space in his mind and fill it with the fear of poverty. That is one of my best mind fillers.
Wow.
Yes, I admit your method is very clever, but what happens if the victim fools you and gets his hands on a lot of money? You don't fill his mind with the fear of poverty then, do you?
No, I don't. I take over the space by filling it with something which serves my purpose just as well. If the victim converts his desire for money into large sums, I start overfeeding him with the things he can buy with it. For example, I cause him to stuff himself with rich foods. This slows down his thinking capacity, endangers his heart, and starts him on the road to drifting. Then I pester him with intestinal poisoning through the surplus food he eats. That also slows down his thinking and gives him a nasty disposition.
Wow.
What if the victim is not a glutton? What other follies can you induce him to pick up that lead to drifting?
If the victim is a male, I can usually snare him through his sex appetite. Overindulgence in sex starts more men to drifting toward failure than all other causes combined.
So food and sex are two of your surefire baits. Is that correct?
Yes. With these two lures, I can take over a majority of my victims. And then there is the desire for money.
I'm beginning to think that wealth is more dangerous than poverty, if your story is to be believed.
That altogether depends on who has the wealth and how it was acquired.
What has the manner in which money is acquired to do with its being a blessing or a curse?
Everything. If you don't believe me, take a look at those who acquire a large amount of money quickly, without time to get wisdom along with it, and observe how they use it. Why do you suppose rich men's sons seldom equal the achievements of their fathers?
That's true.
I'll tell you why. It is because they have been deprived of the self-discipline which comes from being forced to work.
Right.
Look into the records of moving picture stars or athletes who suddenly find themselves in possession of big money and hero worship and praise from the public. Observe how quickly I move in and take them over in many cases, mainly through sex, gambling, food, and liquor. With these, I catch and control the biggest and the best of people as soon as they get their hands on big money.
Think of the countless athletes who have become mega celebrities only to crash and burn from their fast money and fame. And then think of the millions of young people who looked up to them. Think of lottery winners who end up losing all their money within just a few years after they win the lottery. Could it be from drifting? A fallout from gambling? Could these cycles be orchestrated by the devil?
Interesting.
What about those who acquire money slowly by rendering some form of useful service? Are they easily snared too?
Oh, I get them all right, but I generally have to change my bait. Some of them want one thing and others want something else. Where my purpose is best served, I see to it that they get what they want most, but I manage to wrap in the package something they don't want. The thing I give them is the definite thing that makes them drifters. Do you see how I work?
And very clever work it is. You lure people on through their natural desires, but you slip your deadly poison into the object of those desires wherever you can.
Now you are catching on. You see, I play both ends against the middle, so to speak.
From all you say, I infer that you cannot induce a non-drifter to help you gain control of his mind by baiting him with your bribes. Is that correct?
That is exactly correct. I can, and I do, interest non-drifters in my bribes, because I use for the purpose of bribery the things all people naturally desire. But the non-drifter resembles a fish that steals the bait from your hook, but refuses to take the hook. The non-drifter takes from life whatever he wants, but he takes it on his own terms. The drifter takes whatever he can get, but he takes what he gets on my terms. Stating the matter in another way, the non-drifter borrows money from a legitimate banker if he wants it, and pays a legitimate rate of interest. The drifter goes to the pawn shop, hawks his watch, and pays a suicidal rate of interest for his loan.
So I draw from your claims the conclusion that your hand is mixed up somehow in all of people's troubles and miseries, even though your presence may not be visible.
My unwilling workers are often my best workers. You see, my unwilling workers are those whom I cannot control with some combination of bribes, people whom I have to master by fear or through some form of misfortune. They do not wish to serve me, but they cannot avoid it because they are eternally bound to me by the habit of drifting.
Now I'm beginning to better understand your technique. You bribe your victims through their natural desires and lead them astray while you induce them to become drifters if they respond to your lure. If they refuse to respond, you plant the seed of fear in their minds or trap them through some form of misfortune and hogtie them while they are down. Is that your method?
That is exactly the way I work. Clever, don't you think?
Which do you prefer to serve as your propagandists, the young or the old?
The young, of course. They can be influenced by most bribes more easily than people of mature judgment. Moreover, they have longer to remain in my service.
Your Majesty has given me a clear description of drifting. Tell me what must be done to ensure against the habit of drifting. I want a complete formula that anyone can use.
Protection against drifting lies within easy reach of every human being who has a normal body and a sound mind. The self-defense can be applied through these simple methods.
Here we go.
1. Do your own thinking on all occasions. The fact that human beings are given complete control over nothing save the power to think their own thoughts is laden with significance. 2. Decide definitely what you want from life, then create a plan for attaining it and be willing to sacrifice everything else if necessary, rather than accept permanent defeat. 3. Analyze temporary defeat, no matter of what nature or cause, and extract from it the seed of an equivalent advantage. 4. Be willing to render useful service equivalent to the value of all material things you demand of life, and render the service first. 5. Recognize that your brain is a receiving set that can be attuned to receive communications from the universal storehouse of infinite intelligence to help you transmute your desires into their physical equivalent. 6. Recognize that your greatest asset is time, the only thing except the power of thought which you own outright, and the one thing which can be shaped into whatever material things you want. Budget your time so none of it is wasted. 7. Recognize the truth that fear generally is a filler with which the devil occupies the unused portion of your mind. That it is only a state of mind which you can control by filling the space it occupies with faith in your ability to make life provide you with whatever you demand of it. 8. When you pray, do not beg. Demand what you want and insist upon getting exactly that with no substitutes. 9. Recognize that life is a cruel taskmaster, and that either you master it or it masters you. There is no halfway or compromising point. Never accept from life anything you do not want. If that which you do not want is temporarily forced upon you, you can refuse in your own mind to accept it, and it will make way for the thing you do want. 10. Lastly, remember that your dominating thoughts attract, through a definite law of nature, by the shortest and most convenient route, their physical counterpart. Be careful what thoughts you dwell upon.
That list looks imposing. Give me a simple formula, combining all the 10 points. If you had to combine all 10 in one, what would it be?
Be definite in everything you do and never leave unfinished thoughts in the mind. Form the habit of reaching definite decisions on all subjects.
Can the habit of drifting be broken, or does it become permanent once it has been formed?
The habit can be broken if the victim has enough willpower, providing it is done in time. There is a point beyond which the habit can never be broken. Beyond that point, the victim is mine. He resembles a fly that has been caught in a spider's web. He may struggle, but he cannot get out. Each move he makes entangles him more securely. The web in which I entangle my victims permanently is a law of nature not yet isolated by or understood by men of science.
Wow.
Chapter 6, Hypnotic Rhythm.
All right, let's go ahead.
What is this
and
mysterious law through which you
stop
take permanent
right
control?
there. Okay. Holy smokes. Wow, that was a very powerful chapter. I wanted to kind of just go over a couple of things here, really quickly, just to really emphasize the importance of things. So let's just go back here really quick and recap um, the four signs, the signs, the things. Yes, this right here, right? What does the devil use as bribes, right? And this is an interesting one in itself, love, right? Because sometimes we can get entrapped in love in situations that aren't ideal, like being with a succubus or something to that nature, something that's more toxic, right? The thirst of sex expression, yeah, I can definitely relate to that one, especially if you're not careful. That's why you got to prioritize not just wanting only the obsession with sex. I think this is kind of a Diddy situation right here, to be honest. The covetousness for money, that is also something, again, that the envy of money is the root of all evil, and that this definitely falls into that place. The obsessive desire to gain something for nothing, or gambling, letting it ride. Ooh, boy, that one. Yeah, these are definitely things that if not careful, you can get caught up in the devil's web. Vanity in women, egotism in men. This one is kind of hard because I know this is written back in 1938 or so, but it still does apply, and men tend to definitely have an ego. Women, I guess you'd have to speak for yourself. I don't want to speak for you, but I would think that this is still relevant today in some ways, right? Because we do see so many things out there, and everybody's so concerned with beauty and looking good and things like that. The desire to master, to be the master of others. Yes, I think this is a huge takeaway from us. You got to focus on just you. I prioritize myself all the time, and that is what's most important. Even if you have kids, right? It's that thing that I said in the other video. Think of the woman who's putting the mask on the child in the airplane illustration. She's got her mask on first. You got to take care of yourself first, right? The desire for toxins or toxins or narcotics, of course. So drugs alter the mind, ego. Even I would even include alcohol with moderation. In this one also too. The desire for self-expression through words and deeds. That's also something that you're always trying to worry about what other people think. Yeah, no. The desire to imitate others, comparison. Oh my gosh, I tell people all the time, stop comparing. Just live your life. You can never really dictate and determine and see what other people lives have been like, and every little daily step that they go through and what's going on in their mind. It's just wasted time trying to compare. That's something that was very eye-opening to me, and I finally learned from all this that I don't need to do that. The desire for perpetuation of life after death. Yes, thinking about things that are out of our control can drive people crazy, and you're just trying to live your life for something that you don't even know is going to happen or not. Live your life now. Live your life to the fullest now. Desire to be a hero or a heroine. Yeah, this one's interesting, because I think people like to be heroes, and you think of cops and people who are in the business of service. So I guess there's like a careful step there. The desire for physical food. Yeah, this is definitely a big one that I think a lot of people, overindulge, and it can get out of control very quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to go over those again, and then I would definitely recommend rereading the steps to avoid, because those are also important things to be able to you know, make sure that we're also doing, so that we don't get caught up in this web of drifting. And if you're watching this video, you're not getting caught up, right? Because you're now aware, and there's opportunity to change it, and I believe it's never too late. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, until next time, you guys make it a great day, and we'll take care. You guys take care. Bye-bye.